podcast, and we are doing a YouTube live tonight. There was supposed to be a TikTok live that is running as one of the podcasts, but we did the TikTok live the other night, went about an hour and a half, and at the last minute, they took that motherfucker down for some reason. Something was said, and I don't even know what it was, and I don't think I even said it, but it was something that bugged TikTok, and they took it down. And that's well and good. That's happened before. But here's the deal. Once it takes it down, I can't download it. I can't use it any farther. I can't put it on YouTube or Spotify or anything along those lines. So we don't get to listen to that. We don't get to hear it. And we will see what happens with this one. It's a lot tamer on YouTube. I have TJ and Rebecca coming in, the moderators, and probably Benny Loco will show up and help moderate this. I will tell you, the last time I did a YouTube live, it got a little fucking sketchy up in this bitch because I didn't have a moderator at that point, and we got nothing. We got nothing but Trumplefucks up in this bitch. So we'll see what happens. And I'm going to try to bring in a guest here. And I don't know if I'm going to how I'm going to do that. Eric is going to show up, and we're going to try to get him on here. Now I'm forgetting how to do it. I have the length of the copy. Eric, if you're out there, maybe you can make a comment so we can see you're there. Hold on one second. I'm going to do some. Okay, now I'm reconnecting. Why I had to do that is because I had to send a link to Eric. Eric is going to show up and be in the conversation with me today. And the reason I wanted to bring Eric here because he's a lot more detail oriented than I am. I'm more a big picture guy. And Eric does deep dives in this regard. And I just sent him a link. We'll see if he connects up and comes on through. We've done that before with TJ, and that worked out pretty well. And nonetheless, the reason I wanted to do this live is because some of the shit that happened, I think we're at a very important inflection point in this country. We know all the crazy shit that Donald Trump has done. We know that there's a lot of scary things out here. But I think what happened in the press conference between Donald Trump and Vladimir Zelensky was absolutely stunning. It was easily the most embarrassing thing I've seen on television, the most horrific thing any president has ever done on television. And it was absolutely ridiculous. Got a couple people popping in. Gordon Roberts, hello, Boomer. Glad you're talking. Mama for Democracy, Zelensky is a hero. Trump and Vance are big fat zeros. Rebecca says it was an embarrassing shit show. It was all of those things. It was all of those things very easily. And, in normal situations, you would see something like this happen. You would see a president pull something like this, and almost immediately, people from his own party would ask him to step aside or resign. There's nothing been like this before. Donald Trump essentially coercing another world leader into bending to his ways. Analytical Iowan says, I'm here, Mike, but the link only brings me to the live. Well, that's interesting. Let me see if I can pull you in another way. Well, that's weird. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. I'm trying here. Quick share me off here every time I do this. I'm not sure why that would do that. This is what I hate about YouTube. Every time I try to do this, it does. It takes me off, and I don't know that it takes me off the screen or if it takes us down altogether. But here we are. Eric, I sent you another link. That should do it. I'm not sure. If not, I'm not sure what we're going to do here other than continue like I'm going. Uh, Brian says, how are you preparing for fascism? Well, honestly, I think we're in the midst of fascism right now, but I don't think it will last. I think people are going to be too troubled by what's going on here, and it's going to be a turning point in this country. Like I said, Donald Trump, what he did, his performance today, and J.D. Vance too, was such that it has to revile a lot of folks, even in the Republican Party. This may have been a step too far. Gordon Roberts says Zelensky showed us and the world what a strong leader looks like. Yeah. You know, what Donald Trump did today was basically him trying to show he's strong, but because he's a malignant narcissist, he ended up looking very weak, and Zelensky looked very strong. What Donald Trump is trying to do with Zelensky is create a deal where Donald Trump gets everything and Zelensky gets nothing. That's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to create. And it's just not working because Zelensky's too smart for this. He understands who Donald Trump is. Let me explain the way this deal goes. And the way this conversation went was very telling. Donald Trump told everybody that Zelensky was coming down and they were going to sign the deal and we were going to get the mineral rights. There was never any talk about what we were going to do for them. I mean, the whole point that Zelensky would do this was to get protection for his country or support, like the United States had been giving before. But Donald Trump never, ever talked about that. He never said anything about that. He even as much as said that they should give him the mineral rights for the money we already gave Ukraine. Well, what we gave Ukraine wasn't a loan. And in spite of what Donald Trump says over and over again, what Europe gave him was more than what the America's given him, and it wasn't a loan. Donald Trump kept repeating that lie. He kept getting corrected, and he kept getting embarrassed, but he could not stop. Still trying to figure out how to do this. It doesn't make any sense to get Eric on. Anyway, and I'm not going to keep going trying to get this put together because it'll just interrupt the whole thing. So Eric, if you have comments, just throw them out there. I know a lot of folks want to hear what you have to say because you have some insight to this, and I'll be happy to read it. I didn't want to do it this way, but I'm not sure what the other option is. We did this with, hold on one second. Let me try another thing. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying everything here, but it's not working. I'm not sure why that would be. YouTube. Anyway, Donald Trump basically said, we want your mineral rights, but he never offered anything in return. And that's how Donald Trump does business. It was very telling when he was talking to the press. And this is where things went wrong in this particular situation. Somebody from the press asked him, what kind of security are you giving Ukraine in the future from Vladimir Putin or Russia deciding to attack again? And he said, what is security? How can anybody give security? How do we know somebody's not going to put a bomb on this place right now? And see, that's what Donald Trump was doing, and that's where he had the problem. What Zelensky wants is some kind of assurances that he's going to get some help going in the future, but Donald Trump wasn't giving that. And when he was pressed for that, that put him in a bad situation, because then that would suggest he would be in a fight with Vladimir Putin. And there ain't no way he's going to do that. So he couldn't say anything against Vladimir Putin. He couldn't say he was helping to fight against Vladimir Putin. So what Donald Trump wanted to do here is play this game, get Zelensky to give up ownership of some mineral rights. Donald Trump kept calling it raw minerals. It's not raw minerals. It's rare minerals, rare earth. He called it raw earth. Doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about. But anyway, he didn't want to give anything up. And Donald Trump figured, since I'm powerful, since America's powerful, just kind of drag them along, pull the string, and say, we'll get you later, but you give us to us now. And he basically said, I can't guarantee anything as far as security until we get the deal done. And that is a red flag. That is a fucking red flag, especially when you're talking about Donald Trump. You just give us that stuff and we'll pay you later. Well, we know how Donald Trump does with paying people later. He doesn't do it. He was trying to play Zelensky, and then he was going to let Russia run roughshod over Ukraine. Donald Trump then said, well, you're gambling with World War III. That's what he said to Zelensky. But the fact of the matter is it isn't Zelensky that's gambling with World War III. It's Donald Trump. You see, Donald Trump would be happy to let Russia take over Ukraine. And even though he got the mineral rights, he wouldn't help out Ukraine. He wasn't going to do that. And then Russia takes over Ukraine, and that's where World War III is at risk. And that's why the Europeans are sticking their nose in this, because they know once they go through Ukraine, then it's Poland, then it's Europe, and everybody is at risk. And then when we're talking about NATO, then we are talking about risking World War III. It's not Zelensky who's gambling this. It's Donald Trump. In fact, Donald Trump is probably fucking counting on it at this point. That sick fuck is thinking that TJ's asking me, did you send Eric a co-streamer link? I sent him a link. I don't know what else I can do here. I did it to you, and I'm not sure why it's not happening here. Ismael Lopez says, old clubs, you're misinformed. We've only given them about $180 million. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Donald Trump kept repeating that. We've given you $350 billion. And then he said $500 billion. We've only given him $180 billion. And that's a lot of money, but it's not as much money as Europe has given. But this is what Donald Trump does. He exaggerates. He asks foolish. He'll say anything to sell his point. And he was trying to sell Zelensky down the fucking river because he was never going to give Zelensky anything. So Zelensky stands up to him. And then afterwards, you think maybe they get off to the side and they'd come together and they would make nice. That isn't what happened. As soon as he got out of there, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, well, it doesn't seem like Zelensky's ready for peace yet. Maybe he can come back some other day and we'll work on it when he's ready. This is typical hardball stuff from a shitty fucking businessman. You do what I want you to do, and you feel lucky that you got it, even though I'm going to screw you. Zelensky did the right thing. He's going to have to deal with Europe helping him out, and that's not the optimal way to get this done, but that's the only choice he's been given. And Donald Trump was an absolute embarrassment. This should be a reason to take him out of office, the 14th Amendment. Because in this instant, on national television, he was giving comfort and help to an adversarial country in Russia. Pragmatic says, you give Trump too much credit. He's totally transactional. He could give a crap about someone that he can't give him something he wants. Then he calls them names. I'm giving Donald Trump too much credit? I beg to differ. A lot of people think he's smart or strategic or cunning or sketchy. He's not. He's stupid. He is transactional, and he's very emotional, and he's reactionary, and that's what he did. That's what he did when he talked to Zelensky. He was expecting Zelensky to fold up and just be nice and do whatever he wants. When Zelensky didn't do that, he did what every malignant narcissist does. He gets angry because now he's going to get his ruffles up and he's going to get in your face, still trying to get you to submit. That's what they do. I've known malignant narcissists. When you don't bend to them, they get stronger. They get meaner in your face. And that's exactly what Donald Trump did. Donald Trump basically said to Zelensky, you either sign this deal or we're out. We're not helping you. Fuck you. And that's well enough in a shitty business deal. But when you're talking about international relations and diplomacy and stuff, that's absolutely ridiculous. Don't ever suggest that I give Donald Trump too much credit. I give him no credit. He's not a bright man. He's not an articulate man. He is transactional, and he's very emotional, and he reacts out of emotion all the time. Green Apple says, we are at risk with Elon Musk in office. Yeah, I think he's our eminent problem. He's going in there making a mess of every possible place. He's not an elected official. He is the most eminent problem. Donald Trump is seriously a problem too, but he'll tear himself down. We need to get Elon Musk out of the way. We need to get something done with him because he is the immediate problem. Candy 2 says, no longer a friend of the U.S. as a country, like most of the people I have met, hate the Trump shit. Come back to normal, please. You know, that's exactly what a lot of people ask. My wife asks this a lot. Do people understand in other countries that we aren't bad people? It's fucking Donald Trump. And I think for the most part, that's true. I've had occasion to talk to people in Canada. And when I talk to folks in Canada, they're mad at America. But they do understand. We're fine. We always have good relations with Canada. But that dumb Trump-la-fuck, that Trump is the serious problem. And I think most people believe that. Alberta Gold says, good day, Boomer and Brigade. Hey, Alberta. Ismail Lopez says, Mad Mike can't even form a sentence. I presume you're talking about Mike Johnson. Yeah, Mike Johnson seems a little befuddled. You know, when they were talking about the town hall meetings, he had the audacity to come out here and say, oh, they're fake, they're a hoax, those are all Democrats. No, Mike, that's not true. In fact, why don't you go to your hometown and have a fucking town hall, and then we can see the people that show up, and we'll see if you know them. But he'll never do that because he's a fucking coward at heart. What I said in a previous podcast is what we should be doing, since Republicans aren't willing to have town halls now because they're pussy-ass bitches. What we should do is facilitate some town hall meetings in all those red areas and those red cities. Doesn't have to be a Democrat. It could be an independent. But have those meetings so people get a chance to speak out, whether the Republican shows up or not. Analytical Iowan Eric says Trump has already lowered our standing in the world. And you're absolutely right, Eric. The damage he's done to this country is one thing, but the standing in the world is absolutely devastating. We've always been the most powerful country. We've always been there to support people. We've been the person who knocks down bullies. But now we're the bully. And our standing in this world is dropped considerably. I mean, you've got people in Europe and in Ukraine saying, we can't count on these people anymore. We're going to have to do it for ourselves. And here's what's going to happen. They're going to do it for themselves. They're going to pull it off. And Donald Trump is not going to win this one. He's going to look stupid in the end, and history will be horrible for Donald Trump. But I think, as I said, this might be an inflection point. What Donald Trump did on TV was unprecedented. It was weak. It was stupid. It was unhinged. And there are going to be a lot of Republicans who trusted him or believed in him that are going to have second thoughts right now. We're never, ever going to get the Trump-la-fucks to turn away from Donald Trump. But there are people, and Old Soul said this on a recent podcast, there are people that are just beyond the Trump-la-fucks that are in the cult that are more normal. I won't say totally normal because they support Donald Trump, but have a reasonable mind and maybe a conscience. They are going to be reviled, or Donald Trump will be reviled for what he did today. And it's going to cost him dearly. Candy 2 says, hope your prices are getting lower. No, they're not getting lower. Everything's going higher. We've got inflation going higher. And what we know is Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck. Prior to the election, he said a lot of things. He said, I'm going to bring down the price of eggs, bring down the price of energy, about half of what it is now, bring down inflation. He said he would stop the war in Ukraine in 24 hours with a phone call. Guess what? None of that's happened, and he's not doing anything to bring down prices at this point. TJ the plumber says, I think I know what we're wrong. Do you select go live together at the beginning of the live? That could be. I don't know. That you may be right about that. And I fucked up. Tracy Fontaine, doing a deal with Trump is like doing a deal with the devil. I will tell you this, when I was in business and I was dealing with people in logistics and trucking and wholesale and closeout products, I dealt with a lot of unsavory people. And when they ever said, you got to hurry up and sign this or I'll get you later, you knew they were lying to you. You never cut a deal with those people. And unfortunately, Donald Trump's reputation in this country and internationally is you can't trust him. And that's a bad position to be in if you're a president of the United States. If nobody trusts you, you can't get anything done. And you're absolutely right. Dealing with Donald Trump is like dealing with the devil. JB Brault says, agreed. Thank you for seeing the writing on the wall. Greatly appreciated. Ismail Lopez, malice, Russia has never been our ally. You know, and that's the important thing. Donald Trump revealed himself. I mean, it's stuff that we all knew all along. We knew this. But Donald Trump revealed that he is in cahoots or siding with Russia, which seems ironic because Ukraine is an ally of the United States. We should be supporting Ukraine, just like we supported Israel in the Hamas war. But Donald Trump has clearly gone the way of Russia and Vladimir Putin. And I'm not sure why he's done it. It's misguided at best. But people have seen it now. He is siding with Russia, siding with Vladimir Putin over Ukraine. And that's where the problem comes in, because the polls in this country have said that about 85 to 90% of the people in this country don't trust Vladimir Putin and believe he's a murderous dictator. That's what they believe, 90% of this country. And that includes Republicans and Democrats. And to see that Donald Trump has clearly put him on the side of an adversarial country, that's apparent to everybody now. There's no denying it. There's no arguing the fact. Donald Trump would suggest that Ukraine started the war. No, they didn't. Russia invaded them. And then when you go to Congress and you talk to the Republicans and say, did Ukraine start the war or did Russia start the war? They can't answer. No, I should say they won't answer because they're fucking absolute cowards. They know what's true. They know what's right. But they are terrified to say the truth because they're afraid they're going to raise the ire of Donald Trump. That's what they're afraid they're going to do. And so we're seeing a situation where we're dealing with cowards on the Republican side and we're dealing with some cowards on the Democratic side. Callie Vale says they got defensive and looked childish. Yeah, that's exactly right. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance apparently a little bit of a narcissist too, because that's what they do. When you push back, they get angry, they lose their shit, and they get aggressive. And the thing about it is, it's all emotional for them, and so it's a weird situation that they were able to become unhinged like that, because it is terribly embarrassing. I tell you what I'm going to do too here. I'm going to carry this through to about 30 minutes. We're at 23:43 right now. I'm going to carry it through to about 30 minutes. Then I'm going to end this live, and then I'm going to go back, as long as Eric's cool with it, and try to come back on with Eric on the show, because I think that's going to add a lot to it. So anyway, Kelly Horton says, as Malcolm Nance said, see you on the beach. Yeah. Mark says that a lot of the U.S. aid was surplus weapons going into mothballs, so the $150 billion is a higher dollar figure. Yeah, that's the thing that Republicans don't understand. They think that we were handing them cash, and that really isn't the case. We were giving them, our hand-me-downs, basically, and it was enough to help them. But that isn't what Donald Trump tells you. That isn't what the Republicans tell you. They say we're giving them money hand over fist. The only people handing out money right now is the Republicans, and they're handing it to the wealthy people who don't pay taxes and don't need the money. If that isn't disgusting enough for you, I don't know what is. I don't know. TJ says, did you select go live together at the beginning of the live? I did not. I'm going to wrap this up here in about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to try it again. So we got a pretty good crowd out here right now. 260 people. This is what I'm going to tell you. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to end this live. And then I'm going to try to come back and have Eric with me because I think that'll be a more fulsome conversation. Let's see here. Daryl says, when Vance was going off on a tirade, President Trump sat there like a complete moron. Well, he always sits there like a complete moron, mainly because, well, he's a complete moron. He sat there like a complete moron when Elon Musk is ranting like a complete moron. That's the problem. That's the most disconcerting thing about this. That's the most disconcerting thing. We're being led by fucking morons. All right. Where was President Elon today during the Zelensky meeting? It was nice of him letting his VP Trump speak for once. A lot of people ask that question, where was Elon? And, you know, it wasn't appropriate for Elon to be there, but it certainly wasn't appropriate for him to be in a cabinet meeting either. Some people think this whole thing was a setup, that J.D. Vance was set up to set this up so that it would go awry and then Donald Trump could have a reason not to give him money. And that may sound crazy to some folks, but it's really not that crazy. That sounds like something Donald Trump would do. But regardless of what the intention was, the fact of the matter is that it happened, it was embarrassing, and there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. Donald Trump fucked up today. He did, without question. He fucked up. And I don't know how this is going to wear on him, but I'll guarantee you he lost some Republican supporters at this point. I mean, people will only go so far in embarrassing themselves locally and internationally, and he did both. UK here, you are 100% correct. We don't feel like we can trust America, nor should you. There is no reason to trust America when Donald Trump is in charge. It just makes no sense. Makes no sense. I don't argue with anybody who says we can't deal with America anymore. I don't blame you, and you probably shouldn't. It'll get us that much closer to Donald Trump being taken down because he's failing on every step. 51st state of America. Nah, America is going to be the 22nd Republic of Russia. Yeah, that seems to be more likely, doesn't it? Donald Trump would sell it for a pair of shiny golden shoes and a fucking shitty crypto coin. Did you hear about his crypto coin? Yeah, that's going to shit right now. B says, I think it was a setup. I think Russia wanted Trump to try to show that Zelensky is disrespectful to the U.S. This would give Trump a reason to pull support from Ukraine, which is what Russia wants. True, you're probably right. But where they misjudged this, Zelensky didn't look disrespectful. Donald Trump looked disrespectful. J.D. Vance really looked disrespectful. Donald Trump does these things. He gets mad and he calls them disrespectful and you should be thankful and such. Donald Trump looked weak in this situation. Zelensky looked strong. I mean, you think about it. Zelensky's up against America, the president of the United States, and he doesn't bend to him. That says a lot about him. It says a lot about Zelensky not bending to Vladimir Putin either. I got to tell you, I'd much rather have a leader like Zelensky than the bullshit we're dealing with now. Candy 2 says the GOP in Congress will never change anything. They have no courage to do that. Well, I understand that point. But when we get Eric on, I think the important thing is you have to understand that there's going to come a point when it's just too far. And I'd be surprised if it's not right now where the Republican Congress has to do something. It's going to be too damaging to the country. And more importantly to them, it's going to be too damaging to the party. It's going to destroy the party. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end this live, and in a few minutes, I'm going to get it figured out, and then I will be back on a live, and I'll be with Eric, and we'll be talking about a bunch of things, taking questions and comments. I'll get this thing figured out. But we have 316 people in this live, which is cool, which is great. So if you're in this live right now, I'm going to shut it down, but I'm coming right back, and I expect you to come right back too. So we'll wrap this one up, and we'll be coming back with some more.